With that said, thank you for your generosity. I'd like to give over the floor to, or the screen in this case, to the very lovely Reverend Siobhan Byrne, who is going to be giving our spiritual and inspirational lecture. Thank you.
Thank you, Terence. So the topic of my inspirational talk today is navigating fear and anxiety in uncertain times. And if it looks like I'm reading, it's because I have my notes up as well. So we're all living in very difficult times right now, and the last few weeks have brought about a lot of change and uncertainty and trauma for many of us. Although many of us, like myself, would like to move on from the topic of the pandemic, I think it would be amiss to not address the current situation as part of my lecture today, because it is impacting every one of us in one shape or another. I did ask Spirit over the past week to give me inspiration about what to share with all of you today. And Spirit did want to provide some guidance around this topic of the pandemic. So with that, I'm going to talk a little bit more about it. So with uncertainty that we're all experiencing comes anxiety and fear. And all of our feelings are valid, right? So the feeling of fear is completely valid right now for all of us. Fear can serve an important function, especially when we're all faced with life and death situations. And for many people, that is exactly what's happening right now. Fear triggers our fight or flight response, and it also keeps us safe at times. However, for us empaths, or those of us that identify as empaths, these emotions can become extremely heightened right now, especially as we pick up on the collective fear and anxiety and grief that we're all experiencing right now. So what to do, right? First of all, it's really important that we all acknowledge our feelings, first and foremost, and give ourselves space to process them. And secondly, we practice discernment. So discernment means perceiving the present moment without judgment, so that we may obtain spiritual guidance and understanding. So it means we take every present moment, we don't judge ourselves, we don't judge our feelings, we don't judge what's happening, we sit with it, we accept it, and then we practice discernment, right? We try to understand what it means and what guidance Spirit is trying to share with us through our feelings. So now more than ever, it's really important for us to be discerning about what information and what energy we're allowing into our energetic bodies. That's our emotional, physical, and mental bodies, right? So, and many of you have probably heard this before, that fear stands for false evidence appearing real. And without discernment, it is very easy for all of us to go down a fearful spiral. And the sensationalism of the news media is being just one example. Although much of the information is factually accurate and it is important to stay informed, it is more important, if not most important, for us to stay anchored to our source of love, light, peace, calm, and really try to limit anything that is not serving us. And I say limit because there's no way we can eliminate or remove ourselves from all of everything that's going on right now. But we have a choice to limit. Because practicing discernment also means that in every given moment, we have an opportunity to choose. We can choose to perceive the world from a place of fear or from a place of love. As Marianne Williamson likes to say, darkness is merely the absence of light, and fear is merely the absence of love. If we want to be rid of fear, we cannot fight it, but we must replace it with love. So some of you may be thinking, wow, that's really hard right now. And you're absolutely right. It is hard. There are systems in place and energies on this earth that want to keep fear front and center, that want to create more separation, and that want to create more conflict. But this is exactly what we've been preparing for. We've been building our relationship with spirit, with our guides, and with ourselves. We've been building our trust muscle and our belief that there is divine order even in the most chaotic and scary times. We've built community that we can lean on, and we've also assembled an arsenal of spiritual tools to draw from. So the guidance from spirit here is to be discerning, to use your tools, and to give yourself permission to feel safe every single day. We have the power to do that by simply taking a breath. Okay, sometimes it may take more than just a single breath, right? And sometimes it takes calling a friend or saying a prayer. The point is that we have choice and we have the permission to feel safe in any given moment. And I want to give you another quick tool that I like to use to bring myself back to awareness and to the present moment. Actually, I got this from Elizabeth Gilbert. Some of you may know her as a writer. And it's called the 5-4-3-2-1 exercise. And I would like to invite you all to do this with me right now. And I would like for all of you to just bring your awareness to 5 things that you can see. 4 things that you can hear. 3 things that you can feel. 2 things you can smell. And 1 thing you can taste. And just like that, you're in the moment and you're connected to your senses. It's a nice way to kind of just bring yourself back when you feel yourself spiraling. But the way that I was guided to talk about discernment was really through a quote that Spirit drew my attention to. And the quote goes as follows: "An entire sea of water can't sink a ship unless it gets inside the ship." So that took on 2 meanings for me. 1, the fear and negativity in the world can't pull you down unless you allow it to penetrate you and fill your energetic field. But then secondly, if we are the ship, can we find the way to illuminate the dark waters with our light? So instead of just protecting ourselves from the negativity and not letting us penetrate us, how do we, as the bearers of light, then illuminate the dark waters, right? So that brings me to my next section of my talk. As we all know, humanity is undergoing a huge transformational shift right now and is receiving an energetic upgrade. The world is in chaos, and it's really showing us what's no longer working. And anyone who has experienced an energetic upgrade or spiritual awakening within your own micro universe, such like a dark night of the soul, knows that it's not pretty. It comes with hard lessons, trauma, grief, but it also comes with clarity. Energetic upgrades bring to the forefront what no longer serves us, so we can move past it. It's like going through an energetic death to make room for more light to enter. And we're all playing a part in this energetic shift. There has been an influx of light workers that have all chosen to reincarnate during this time. We all have chosen to reincarnate during this time to be bearers of the light. We've been injecting light everywhere we go. We're making spirituality more mainstream and more acceptable. And it is our calling to help those that are currently awakening through this process, right, to find their path. And it's also our calling to be the guiding light for those that are unable to find it within themselves right now. So I'm going to ask you again, can we light the dark waters? And as with any hardship or energetic upgrade, really the only way out is through, right? So there is no point in fighting or resisting our current reality or any of our feelings that are emerging. There's only surrender and choosing love. So let's surrender to the dark and the light. Let's surrender to the now. Let's surrender to staying in our center. And this actually was brought to me by Spirit so clearly a few days ago. It's actually a funny story. I was sitting at my desk working with the window open, and I was startled by very loud music that just started to play right outside my window. And just as fast as it started, it had stopped, and I had literally heard one little verse or sentence, and that's exactly what I needed to hear, right? And it was my neighbor left his house and I think playing music, and it hadn't connected to his earphones yet. So I was able to hear a snippet of it, and what I heard was, in times of surrender, I'm shedding my scars, right? So again, there's no point in fighting, let's surrender. But there are lessons to be learned and even a healing to be found in the process, right? We can shed our scars through this process if we're aware and if we're open to it. And in the process of surrendering, in the experience of it all, in the being in it and being with it, that's where we can find healing. So you may remember me asking Spirit during the invocation to lift the veil for those who are ready, so we may recognize that Spirit's guidance is already within us. And Spirit answered beautifully with some helpful reminders, I think, through this talk, that Spirit is asking us to remember to shine the light for those who don't know how, to practice discernment so we can stay in a place of love and continue to receive guidance, and to surrender and trust that there's divine order even in chaos. And lastly, breathe when things get a little too much. Thank you. Now I'm going to hand it back over to Terence.
Thank you, Siobhan. What a beautiful words and wisdom that you have given us. There was many impactful moments in your lecture that really rang home for myself and just going through everyday life in this time. So thank you for your words and your wisdom, and thank you for letting Spirit into your life so that you can be inspired to say such wonderful things.
Thank you.
And I see that your mother is with us today, Siobhan.
Yeah, my sister.
So with this said, I have a few announcements before we end service. First of all, I want to just thank Reverend Siobhan Byrne for her help this past week and this beautiful lecture that she gave us, as well as her beautiful invocation and reading the spiritualist principles. She is our first, one of our first guest ministers, and we will continue to have more. So we're very fortunate to have her join us. She was supposed to do the co-conduct the message circle last month, but that didn't end up happening because of the non-essential businesses order. So I wanted to make up for the fact that she wasn't able to co-conduct, and I was like, well, why don't you be a guest minister? But anyways, so thank you, Ari, who's been the She's the secretary for the Open Doorway Spiritualist community, and she's been the one presenting her screen the whole time and showing. And she made all the screenshots of the spiritualist principles and the prayer of healing, as well as the putting up the COVID-19 relief fund. So thank you, Ari, for being the host. And what other things left to announce? Even though Awakening is closed for the foreseeable future, the actual building, it is still open for business. So what I mean by that is Mariola, who runs Awakening and has been very dear friends to Reverend Paul Baudet and myself and the Open Doorway community, she has been putting workshops online. I believe there are yoga, meditation workshops. She's trying to implement more, put more of her workshops online, including private readings with myself. She felt the need that even now, more than ever, we need healing, we need rejuvenation. So if you wanted to go, if you feel you wanted to like cleanse yourself, take a look at awakening.com, awakeningny.com. We'll have the link for that in maybe the next newsletter. If you want to cleanse yourself, maybe do some yoga, take a look at what they are offering, because they're still, they still have to pay rent. And unfortunately they can't, nobody can go into the building or open up the building. But they will be, they are doing online workshops. This service was recorded, so we're going to make sure, make it known to everybody, or we're going to distribute it to everybody on a YouTube channel that we are creating at the moment. It'll be the Open Doorway Spiritualist Community channel. And we suspect that there will be more videos and more content being produced and put up on to the YouTube channel that we're going to start. So that way that you won't be able to get rid of us that easily in this time. We do have social media sites. We have Instagram, Open Doorway BK at Instagram. You can also look up the Open Doorway Spiritualist Community on Facebook. I think it may go by just the Open Doorway Community on Facebook, and follow us there. Content goes on there, but most of the content that goes on the Facebook comes from the Instagram. And if you don't have the Instagram or you don't have Facebook, fear not. We have a newsletter that goes out monthly or ever so often. We're trying to make it even more than just ever so often or monthly. That way we can keep in contact with everybody and make sure that information goes out, but also wisdom and guidance and love and light go out to you all. So if at some point in this Google Hangout, we're gonna exchange emails. So if you're not getting the newsletters, the Open Doorway newsletters, we're gonna try to get your email in the and Ari will, the secretary and the host here, she's gonna lead that effort to get as many emails onto the newsletter as possible. So if you're not on the newsletter, the email list, please provide your email to this group chat. And we are also going to be sharing Siobhan Burns' social media, so that if you want a reading with her or want to hear more about what she's up to and doing, we're going to provide that information as well in the newsletter. So very crucial now to be on that email newsletter list. So that's pretty much about all the announcements I have to make. We are still going forward with the May 2nd service. Chances are we will probably still be, there will still only be non-essential places of business. That order, it probably will remain till the 2nd. We're not 100% sure, but as of right now, we are planning to have a virtual online service, and more information on that is going to go out. And we're trying to work on maybe doing something a little bit sooner than that, but more information will go out via newsletter and Facebook and Instagram. So we want to give excuses to everybody to come and hang out online and get some healing and some light. With that said, I just have everybody close their eyes for a moment as I give the benediction, and we will end service. Divine Parent, in these times of struggle, grant us strength to persevere. Bestow us with kindness towards ourselves and others. Let your healing light protect us. In all this, we have faith in your infinite love. Amen. Thank you all for joining us